I am Jared from the Broken Seal, and today we're going to be playing Marvel Champions, the card game. This is something that I've really been interested in playing, and I'm excited to try out. I'm going to set up the actual starter scenario for single player. So we're going to be going up against Rhino. You can see I've cracked it, but I haven't really done much with it, as well as using Spider-Man. So we're going to go through each of the steps, and you'll get to play and learn along with me, because this is the first for me. All right, so step 1, select hero. So like I said, we're going to be using Spider-Man. So let's get this open. Okay, so set aside the Spider-Man card. Each player selects one identity card and places its alter ego face up in front of them. Remove the Spider-Man Peter Parker identity card from his deck. And so if Madi does join us, if I don't end up making the actual full video today and Madi joins us for next, she'll be playing as Captain Marvel, because that was who she was really interested in playing. But I'm actually most interested in playing as Black Panther, but for the scenario, the setup scenario, it's just Peter Parker or Captain Marvel. All right, so next we have to set up the hit points. So Pete starts with, well, he has 10. That's not great. Or is it? I don't know. So we'll find out. Select the first player. It's going to be me because there's no other option. I have to set aside my obligation. There we go. So the eviction notice. For each hero being played, set aside their obligation card. These cards are used later in the setup. Remove the eviction notice from the Spider-Man deck and set it aside. Set aside the Nemesis cards, which will be the Vulture for me. Let me just make sure there's no other Vulture cards in here. I don't think so, but yeah. So we set aside the Vulture cards to be used later on in the setup, which I think they get shuffled into the encounter deck. Shuffle the player decks. Each player shuffles their player deck and places it near their identity card. The Spider-Man deck consists of the remaining Spider-Man cards as well as the Justice yellow and basic gray cards from that starter deck or pack. And then we collect tokens and status cards. We have these over here. And then it says setup is complete for a single player. And then for the villain, Rhino, we're going to set aside his Rhino card. Select the villain and put their villain deck and main scheme deck into play near the center of the play area. Stack Rhino 1 on top of Rhino 2. Move these off to the side now. I'm also a sucker for playmats. That's why I got this one. I've read online that even though this says that it's for 1 to 4 players, the spacing of it probably isn't actually accurate, but I figured for 2 to 3, it should be fine. We probably would just have it set up a little differently, but for the time being, we're okay, because it's just one person. So then we're going to set the villain's hit points. So Rhino starts with 14 per player, so there's just 1. I did this upside down, so I have to fix that later. Oh no. So Rhino has 14 hit points. Resolve the scheme setup. Resolve any set of instructions on the main scheme card. So this is our main scheme card. Rhino is trying to smash through the facility wall and steal a shipment of vibranium. You must stop him. That's our 1B. So 1A, Rhino is attacking the shield facility. And then the main scheme itself is that he's trying to smash through the facility wall and steal a shipment of vibranium, and we have to stop him. If this stage gets completed, the players lose the game. So there's a accelerate symbol on there. That means that every turn when that one goes off, he'll get one per player. So he would just get one in this single player scenario. We're going to create and shuffle the encounter deck. Shuffle the obligation cards that were set aside during step 4 into the villain's encounter deck. So we're going to take the eviction notice and I assume shuffle that into all of these. Let's see if I can do a better job shuffling. Yeah, that one's all right. Can't do a bridge, so don't ask for it. And I do know a little bit about this game. It's the second kind of card game that they came out with that was for Marvel. I think the other one was Marvel... I can't remember the other one. But I know that that one is longer and has had more expansions and things like that. This one's more recent and uses different kind of mechanics, which was one of the reasons why I got this over the other one. I think the other one was also like a card or a deck building game. This one is just a living card game, so you can just play it as is out of the box. Each deck is built in a way that you don't have to customize it, but you do have the option of customizing it, which is something I really like. And I won't lie, the fact that Black Panther was in the initial base game was a reason why I wanted to get it. But I can see that they're kind of capitalizing on the success of the movies, because you can see, at least in this setup, there's the, and I'm pretty sure it's on the main box too. Yeah, so on the main box, you have most of the well-known Avengers, except for, you know, She-Hulk, who hasn't appeared in any of the movies yet. But then you have Thanos, you have Ultron, you have the Red Skull on here, even though he was the expansion that just came out, and a couple others like Taskmaster on there. So they knew what they were doing. Marvel does what it does well, or I guess I should say Disney plus Fantasy Flight. So anyway, we have created and shuffled the encounter deck. We shuffled in the obligation. Then it says draw cards. Each player draws a number of cards from their player deck equal to their hand size. So I get a hand size of 6. And then we resolve any mulligans, resolve character setup abilities. So any setup instructions listed on the identity cards. In this setup, there are no identity cards that we have to do, or setup things we have to do. And that's all. So just in time for my dog to come running in to see what was going on, because she was left out of it. So that's the setup for the tutorial or starter game. And we'll get started on the actual gameplay. So then we're going to set the villain's hit points. Wow, set the villain's